So I'm Leanne June. I'm the Communications Director for Great Bend Economic Development. And today I have Jim Correll with me, and he's going to give us a little introduction on who he is and some of the why behind the Entrepreneurial Mindset classes.
Well, hi, Leanne. I'm really glad to be with you today. You know, I had a couple of businesses in a younger life, a previous life, two previous lives, I guess, and ended up in Southeast Kansas in actually in Coffeyville. But one weekend in 2006, there was an ad in the paper about Independence Community College looking for a entrepreneurial facilitator, they called it. And they wanted to launch something called the Successful Entrepreneur Program. And they didn't want it to be academic. And I am not academic, as you know, you've been to our boot camp. But I had a couple of businesses and I worked in manufacturing, and I always looked at myself as being entrepreneurial as far as a problem solver, and that kind of served me well through the two businesses I had, and then kind of a thing in manufacturing for 15 years. So it turns out they were looking for somebody like me. They didn't want it to be an academic program. They wanted it to be kind of a nuts and bolts program that was really practical advice for people trying to start and run their businesses better. So I took that, and for the first 4 or 5 years, I did have a class mostly with people that had businesses, and it was a 2-year program. So I had to talk them into sticking with us for 2 years. But as far as getting people excited about starting businesses, that was kind of a challenge because I didn't know any better. So I did it the way that I thought you were supposed to, which tell people they have to have a great big business plan and they have to have a lot of money to get the business started. And by the way, you're supposed to tell them all the bad things about having a business, how hard it's going to be and how many hours you're going to have to work and all the taxes you're going to have to pay. And then I started thinking, we do all this, and then we sit around in meetings and we can't figure out why nobody's wanting to start a new business. And then in 2011, toward the end of 2011, that all changed for me when I learned more about this thing called the Ice House Entrepreneurship Program. And I heard the founder of an organization called Entrepreneurial Learning Initiative. His name is Gary Schoniger, and it turns out that he went from cleaning gutters over a period of time to a multi-million-dollar construction management company. He never had any college for that, and he never had any special training for that. And he started thinking, wow, there must be a better way to do this than the way that we're trying to tell everybody to do it. So the Ice House connection is to a guy named Clifton Talbert, who is an African-American guy who says he learned about entrepreneurship in the segregated Deep South of 1958 when he went to work for his Uncle Cleve, who had the only ice house in the community that he had. And Gary ended up making that into a program that let you see how people who are entrepreneurs think. And you can't ask them how they think because they can't tell you how they think. So what we found is that in the video series that goes with the Ice House Entrepreneurship Program, you listen to people's stories about how they got started, and almost none of them had any money. Many of them had bad upbringings, and yet they all worked through that and became successful. And so as you listen to their stories, you start to see some commonality in how they think, and you start to understand how they think. And then this is going to be really cool because in a live class like we're going to have in Great Bend, we will bring in entrepreneurs in Great Bend. And what I found about that is that they may not say things exactly the same way, but if you listen to the locals who come in live, you can start to see some similar characteristics to the ones in the video. And so that's what the whole class is about, is to just see how these entrepreneurs have developed their problem-solving abilities, which is the main focus of this entrepreneurial mindset class. And it really, we say that it should be the main focus of starting a new business. So you figure out what problems somebody has, and sometimes it's a problem that you have. And if you think other people have it too, then you try to figure out if they're willing to pay to have it fixed. And if it is, then you might be able to start a business doing that. And we say, in the way we do it, that problem solving and that providing an answer for people or solutions for their problems should be the number one goal of a small business. And there has to be profit, and we all know that, but that should not be the primary factor. We should concentrate on solving the problems and then let the profit take care of itself. And so that's how it came about. And that was a real kind of revelation for me at the end of 2011. And so I came back and went to work to implement that at Independence Community College. And in the fall of 2012, we became what they told me was the 10th community college in the world to offer Ice House. So it's still really, even today, kind of new. And so I've offered generally one or two classes each semester in a kind of a school environment, but very informal, and we don't teach it, we facilitate it. So everybody's responsible for their own learning. So that's the reason we say we facilitate it. We try to facilitate everybody's learning on their own. So in this class, they will look at these videos and on their own time. And when they come to class, there'll be a little bit of discussion about what the content was for that week. And then almost every week we have class, we'll try to put together a guest to come in, a local guest entrepreneur to come in and talk about how they got started and what they're doing now.
And when I talked to Network Kansas about this, they were saying that this isn't necessarily a learn how to write a business plan class. This is more about the philosophy of entrepreneurship. And so why do you think that's important for entrepreneurs?
I think that it's important. To say that we don't need a business plan doesn't mean that we don't need a little bit of planning. So we need a little bit of planning, but part of what we talk about in the mindset class is trying to start as small as you can to see if anybody even wants what you're offering. And you almost never get it completely right. Even if they do, you need to tweak it a little bit. So had you done the 200-page business plan and gotten a whole bunch of money and started it and not gotten it right, then you might not have a chance to recover and fix it. So if you start small, and you can really, the only way you can really find out what people want is when they start buying it. They can tell you all kinds of stuff in the business plan. So it's not that we don't want any planning, but we just don't believe that it takes a lot of money and a big business plan. And the other thing this class is not is it's not really a business management class. That comes later with a different set of instructions, I guess. This is really down in the product management, or not management, market validation phase of a new business. So this really gets people excited. Now, what happens is people get excited, and eventually they do have to learn about the taxes and the hard work and all that kind of stuff. But what we learned is if we can get them excited first, that helps them work through all the harder stuff that comes later. So you don't want to start with the hard stuff first. Start with the exciting, inspirational stuff first, and then go from there.
Well, and to get them thinking differently, that it's
Yes.
that it's not just trying
Yes.
to get that business plan complete. It's
right. And if you start paying attention, there are lots of things in the marketplace that don't work right. I mean, there's just lots of things that don't work right. So some people invent brand new stuff, but many times they just figure out a better way to provide a solution than what's on in the marketplace right now. And that's what a lot of it is. But some people learn to keep lists, even what we call a bug list, where every time they see something that doesn't work right or something that doesn't quite work right, they put it on a list so that someday if they're looking for something to add to their business or even a new business to start, they can look back at that list. So it takes a little while to get in a mindset to do it that way and start looking for the problems there are to solve. But yeah, that's a big part of what this is about, is learning to think like that.
Excellent. So is there anything else that I haven't talked about yet that we want to press on?
I think we tend to think of this as something for business startups, but really, if you think about it, whether somebody's going to have a business of their own or whether they're just going to be in life working for somebody else, the better we are at problem solving, the better we're going to do. And that spreads out into all aspects of life. If people hire employees to solve problems. So if you're a better problem solver because you've learned to think like an entrepreneur, you're going to make a better employee for somebody else. You're certainly going to make a better entrepreneur, small business owner if you're solving problems for customers. But even around the house, it gives you a confidence to tackle things around the house that maybe you wouldn't have wanted to try before. Now, I know about Great Bend, but around here, you can't hardly find a plumber, electrician, or HVAC people. They're all scarce. And thinking like this really gives you the confidence to go on YouTube and tackle a lot of these home repair projects ourselves. And that's all kind of part of it. And so we think that everybody can benefit from thinking like this. And even a lot of times, even when people retire, they're not doing whatever they did, but people are not made to sit around. And so a lot of times people don't really know what they're going to do next when they retire. And we've had a lot of retirees take this class, and it kind of gives them, and you don't have to make the money. You can be a social entrepreneur, and there needs to be problem solving in that too. So a lot of times it'll help give retired people a purpose, and so that they can keep feeling fulfilled even after retirement.
No, I love that. And that's a piece of what we're promoting, is that it's adults of all ages, that it doesn't necessarily have to be that startup. So yeah, this is going to be good.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. And I'm excited to hear your little interviews with folks that have gone through the class already and kind of hear their success stories. So I look forward to seeing all that.
It's all, sometimes, I mean, this is a bold statement I'm going to make, but out of all those people, and I think probably there's been 150 or 180 people since 2012 that have gone through this, nearly all of them say that it changes the way they think. And this is really true with each class, which generally would have 10 or 12 people in it. It would not be unusual for one or two of them to say that it's changed their life. That change in thinking has changed their life. And that sounds pretty dramatic, but that's what they tell me. I don't ask them really if it changed their life. They come out and say it. So it's really interesting that it has such an effect on people. And I really am excited to share a few stories of some of the people that have gone through the class of mine, and to come down to Great Bend a couple of times and then figure out a way to make that work with your local facilitator and see if we can change a couple of lives and change a whole bunch of people's ways of thinking there.
It's really exciting. I'm excited to see, what we can get out of that. Because I think when we had our Ignite Shark Tank style competition, what we got out of that is that we need more education for these entrepreneurs. And I think this is going to be a great piece. That philosophy is going to help really change their life. So yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah, well, it's good. It's good. Well, we'll be in touch, and we'll look forward to seeing you in January.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jim.